At 3 a.m., the homeless veteran brought to the emergency room had no insurance. "Stabilize and transfer," ordered Dr. Harrison. But Nurse Lisa saw the Purple Heart tattoo on the man's arm. "This is a Vietnam veteran," she said. "I don't care. Hospital policy is clear." That night, Lisa paid $2,400 from her own card. Monday morning, 20 Navy corpsmen had surrounded the hospital. Lisa Martinez was a 28-year-old idealistic young woman working as an emergency room nurse. She had been serving at Riverside General Hospital for 3 years and preferred working night shifts. Night hours were quieter, times when she could give more personal attention to patients. But that Saturday night, everything would change. At exactly 3 a.m., ambulance sirens were heard. Lisa ran to the automatic doors of the emergency room. A stretcher carried by 2 paramedics entered. On it lay a man in his 60s with long hair and a graying beard. His clothes were torn and dirty, typical homeless appearance. "What's his condition?" Lisa asked, running alongside the stretcher. "Thomas Wilson, 63 years old," the paramedic quickly briefed. "Found on the streets, severe chest pain, shortness of breath, likely pneumonia, febrile, 102.5-degree fever." The stretcher was brought into the emergency room, and Lisa immediately began checking Thomas's vital signs. The man's pulse was fast but irregular. He was struggling to breathe. But there was something else that caught Lisa's attention. On Thomas's left arm, visible through his worn clothes, was a tattoo. Purple Heart, the most honorable medal of the Vietnam War. Lisa's heart sank. Her father was also a Vietnam veteran, and she knew very well what that tattoo meant. This wasn't just an injured homeless man. This was a hero who had fought and been wounded for his country. Dr. Richard Harrison was the chief physician of the night shift. In his 50s, he was an experienced but cold doctor. He had strict rules about protecting the hospital budget. He approached Thomas's bed and quickly glanced at the file. "What's his insurance status?" he asked Lisa. Lisa checked the computer screen. Her heart sank. "No insurance, doctor. No Medicaid application visible either." Dr. Harrison frowned. "We'll stabilize and refer to the nearest public facility. This hospital can't take charity cases." "But doctor," Lisa protested, "the man's condition is serious. He's developed pneumonia. He needs antibiotic and fluid therapy." "Policy is policy, Nurse Martinez. Stabilize and transfer. No discussion on this matter." Lisa looked at Thomas. The man was semi-conscious, but his eyes were open and looking at Lisa. In those eyes was not fear, but familiarity. How many times had he been rejected like this? "Doctor, this man is a Vietnam veteran," Lisa said, lowering her voice. "He has a Purple Heart tattoo on his arm." Dr. Harrison shrugged. "There are thousands of veterans in this country. We can't treat them all. The hospital isn't a charity." Lisa sighed. She turned to the computer and looked at the necessary forms to start transfer procedures. But something inside her was rebelling. This wasn't right. As Thomas struggled to breathe, he murmured, "Water? Can I have some water?" Lisa brought water in a cup and moistened the man's lips. Thomas's eyes focused on Lisa's face. "Thank you, ma'am," he whispered. "You're a good person." That simple sentence broke Lisa's heart. This man was on death's door and still being kind. Lisa checked Thomas's vital signs again. The situation was worsening. His fever had risen to 103.6, pulse 110, blood pressure low. He needed urgent antibiotic and IV fluid therapy. Dr. Harrison came again. "Is the transfer ready?" "Doctor, the man's condition is deteriorating. He can't handle this transfer." "Then be quick. Stabilize and send." Lisa had to make a decision. Either she would follow hospital policy and witness a veteran's death, or she would do the right thing. She held Thomas's hand. "Mr. Wilson, I'm going to take care of you. Don't worry." Lisa went to the emergency room storage and prepared the necessary medications. Ampicillin, IV fluids, oxygen support. Then she walked to the billing department, the cashier. Janet was surprised. "Lisa, what are you doing here at this hour?" "Bed 7, Thomas Wilson. I'm going to cover his treatment costs." Janet looked at the screen. $2,400. Are you sure?" Lisa took her credit card from her wallet. I'm sure. The transaction was completed. There were no more obstacles to Thomas's treatment. Lisa returned to the intensive care unit and began Thomas's treatment. She opened an IV line, started antibiotics, provided oxygen support. At 4:30 a.m., Thomas's fever began to drop. When the morning shift arrived, Lisa was sitting by Thomas's bedside. The man was now breathing more comfortably, his fever near normal. Dr. Harrison called Lisa while reviewing night reports. Martinez, how was the payment made for the patient in bed 7? I paid for it, doctor. Dr. Harrison was surprised. You paid for it? $2,400? Yes, this man had the right to treatment. Nurse Martinez, you made a very big mistake. This is against hospital policies. We'll discuss this matter with Human Resources. Lisa nodded in acceptance. She could lose her job, but she wasn't sorry. Monday morning, Lisa was called to the Human Resources Department. Department Manager Mrs. Johnson greeted her with a serious expression. Lisa, I received a report from Dr. Harrison. You violated hospital policies. Yes, that's correct. Why did you do this? Lisa took a deep breath. Because that man is a hero. He fought for our country in Vietnam. I couldn't watch him die alone and sick on the street. Mrs. Johnson was about to close the file when strange sounds came from outside. Vehicle sounds, many vehicles. They looked out the window. There were 20 military vehicles in the hospital parking lot. The men getting out of the vehicles, all had military bearing, all in similar clothing. Who are these? Mrs. Johnson murmured. Just then there was a knock on the door. 2 men entered. The first was middle-aged with military bearing. The second was young but had the same serious expression. Good morning. I'm Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez. This is Hospital Corpsman Williams. We came to meet with hospital management. Mrs. Johnson was bewildered. About what? About Thomas Wilson, the Vietnam veteran being treated at your hospital. Lisa's heart raced. How did they find out? Chief Rodriguez continued. Thomas Wilson isn't just any veteran. He was my commander. We served together in the 3rd Medical Battalion. We got word of him after 20 years. I don't understand, Mrs. Johnson was confused. Thomas was a life-saving hero in Vietnam. He served as a hospital corpsman. He saved dozens of Marines' lives. He received the Purple Heart Medal because he continued to save his comrades even while wounded. Hospital Corpsman Williams added, and we heard that this young nurse spent her own money to keep our Thomas alive. Chief Rodriguez turned to Lisa. Is this true? Lisa nodded. Thomas had the right to be treated. You're right, and you're a real hero. Mrs. Johnson was confused. How did you find out? When Thomas started recovering, he contacted us. He'd been missing for 20 years. PTSD, alcohol problems, homelessness, but he was a man we never forgot. Chief Rodriguez took an envelope from his pocket. Lisa Martinez, this is for you. Lisa opened the envelope. Inside was a job offer from Naval Medical Center. Really? We need people like you in Veterans Affairs hospitals. Nurses who value our veterans, who see them as human beings. Hospital Corpsman Williams added, the salary is 3 times what you're currently making, and all our veterans will welcome you with open arms. Lisa felt her eyes welling up. Mrs. Johnson interrupted. Wait a minute. Lisa was going to receive disciplinary action. Chief Rodriguez spoke in a calm but determined voice. No, she won't. Thomas Wilson's treatment costs will be paid by Veterans Affairs. Lisa's expenses will be refunded, and this hospital will develop veteran-friendly policies. What do you mean? Because you'll enter into a partnership agreement with Naval Medical Center. We want to ensure our veterans are well received here too. That day, major changes began at Riverside General Hospital. Veteran patient admission policies were revised, a special veteran support unit was established, and Lisa Martinez's story was shared with hospital staff as an example to follow. 3 months later, Lisa started working at Naval Medical Center. On her first day of work, Thomas Wilson greeted her. He now looked clean and healthy. He was receiving PTSD treatment and staying in a veteran housing program. Lisa, my life has changed since the day I met you. he said with a smile. "I just did the right thing, Thomas. That's why you're a hero." On the wall of Lisa's new office was a framed photograph, a photo taken with Thomas. It read underneath, "Heroes don't wear uniforms, they carry hearts." When Chief Rodriguez stopped by Lisa's office, he asked, "Do you regret it?" "No," Lisa smiled. "The decision I made that night was the most right decision of my life." "I learned something interesting about Thomas," said the chief. "He had saved my life in Vietnam. In 1969, in the Mekong Delta, I was wounded. Thomas carried me to safety. 20 years later, you saved his life." Lisa's eyes filled with tears. "Really?" "Yes, life is sometimes very strange. Good begets good." 6 months later, Lisa had become an expert giving speeches at national conferences on veteran care. Thomas Wilson was working in veteran advocacy programs, helping homeless veterans. Riverside General Hospital is now the most veteran-friendly hospital in the region. Lisa's decision that night affected the lives of thousands of veterans. Dr. Harrison? He changed too. He received special training in veteran patient care and is now the head of the Veteran Care Program. Lisa's story wasn't just a nurse's courage story. It was also proof of how humanity, the power of empathy, and right decisions can create a ripple effect. Thomas Wilson is now 67 years old and healthy. He sends Lisa postcards every Christmas. His last card read, "To my angel nurse. You didn't save my life. You reminded me that I was worth living." Lisa framed that card and put it in the most visible place in her office. Because the decision she made that night at 3 a.m. didn't just save one life. It started a movement that reminded us of the power of goodness. And every new day, Lisa meets new veterans, shows them compassion, and applies the most important lesson she learned that night. Sometimes the system can be wrong, but the heart always knows what's right. In Thomas's words, "Heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they just wear night shift nurse scrubs." Lisa Martinez's story shows us that real heroism isn't hidden in grand gestures, but in our responses to humane moments. Lisa's $2,400 decision that night changed the lives of thousands of veterans. What would you have done in Lisa's place? Share with us in the comments. And if this story inspired you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because here we tell the stories of real heroes. Heroes sometimes walk hospital corridors with hearts full of nothing but goodness.